You ever buy a Ferrari and only drive it in first gear? Yeah, that was Ryan Gravenberch at Liverpool, until Arne Slot showed up with the keys and said, "Let's hit the Autobahn." What happened next? Boom, midfield domination, tactical wizardry, and a transformation that even Klopp probably slow-clapped from his living room. In today's video, we're diving into how Slot didn't just unleash Gravenberch's hidden power, he basically installed turbo mode. Buckle up, because this Dutch engine is now running at full throttle. When Ryan Gravenberch landed at Anfield, it was a highly anticipated sequel, hype trailer, big budget, and fans ready for fireworks. A product of the famed Ajax Academy with Bayern Munich on his CV, Gravenberch had all the markings of a midfield prodigy. But instead of bursting onto the scene like a firecracker, his start at Liverpool was more damp sparkler. Under Jurgen Klopp, things didn't quite click. Gravenberch was often used in unfamiliar advanced roles, high up the pitch, far from where he naturally thrives. It was like asking a chess grandmaster to play checkers. Sure, he could do it, but why waste the brainpower? As matches went by, his performances felt hesitant, even anonymous at times. He wasn't bad, just there, present, but not quite impactful. The Premier League, with its furious tempo and physical demands, can humble even the most talented imports. And for Gravenberch, the question wasn't about skill, it was about fit. Was there room for a deep-lying, elegant playmaker in a Liverpool midfield built on gegenpressing and grit? Some fans started raising eyebrows. Was he a square peg in a Klopp-shaped hole? Was this another talent lost in transition case? But little did they know, the story wasn't over. In fact, it hadn't even begun. All it needed was a new narrator. And that's when Arne Slot entered stage left, with a tactical plot twist that would flip the script entirely. Liking this so far? Smash that like button for more tactical breakdowns and football brilliance. Then came Arne Slot. Cool, calculated, and fresh off making Feyenoord look like a well-oiled footballing machine. If Klopp was the passionate rock and roll manager, Slot was jazz, precise, unpredictable, and smooth with the tactical saxophone. Liverpool fans weren't quite sure what to expect, but one thing was clear: a new era was dawning at Anfield. Slot walked into the job with one of football's greatest challenges: follow a club legend. But instead of trying to replicate Klopp's intense pressing system, Slot brought a Dutch twist: control, intelligence, and structure. And right at the heart of his new project, a player who had been hiding in plain sight, Ryan Gravenberch. Slot had seen this movie before. He knew Gravenberch wasn't a winger, wasn't a number 10, and definitely wasn't a run-and-chase merchant. He was a tempo setter, a deep-thinking midfield architect who needed the right role to thrive. So, Slot tore up the script Klopp had written for him and handed Gravenberch a fresh one, a role in the double pivot, the beating heart of his midfield orchestra. And just like that, things started to click. No longer drifting aimlessly in the final third, Gravenberch now had a purpose: to break up play, pick passes, and dictate rhythm like a conductor with a Nike contract. Slot hadn't just found a place for him, he'd found the place. What came next? Oh, just a tactical renaissance. Arne Slot didn't just throw Gravenberch into midfield and hope for the best, he engineered the environment for him to thrive. Out went the chaotic pinball style of pressing from all angles, and in came Slot's more nuanced, possession-based philosophy. The formation of choice? A slick, fluid 4-2-3-1. And Gravenberch? He was handed the keys to the engine room. Stationed alongside Alexis Mac Allister in the double pivot, who, let's be honest, plays like a magician in disguise. Gravenberch wasn't just there to recycle possession, he was the balance between beauty and brawn. The guy who could slide into a tackle and then casually play a 30-yard diagonal pass like he was ordering coffee. The beauty of this role? Freedom, but with structure. Gravenberch could read the game in front of him, sniff out danger behind, and carry the ball through midfield with the elegance of a Rolls-Royce. Slot wasn't asking him to run himself into the ground. No, he was asking him to think, anticipate, and control. Under Klopp, Gravenberch often looked like a misplaced USB stick in a PlayStation. Under Slot, he became the processor. Liverpool's transitions became smoother, the midfield stopped leaking space, And suddenly, Gravenberch was no longer the Bayern reject, he was the quietly commanding presence, keeping the team ticking. This wasn't just a tactical tweak, this was a full-on footballing makeover. And Gravenberch, he just stepped into his element. Enjoying the tactical glow-up? Drop a comment. How would you use Gravenberch? Alright, let's get a little nerdy. Because while the eye test showed Gravenberch looking like a midfield maestro, the stats? Oh, they were practically screaming, he's him. Let's start with the interceptions. This guy was a walking tripwire. Gravenberch clocked 57 interceptions in the Premier League, more than any other midfielder. That's not just awareness, that's borderline telepathy. It's as if he could see passes before they were made, probably ruining the fun for opposition playmakers everywhere. Next up, ball recoveries. He racked up one of the highest numbers in the league, hunting loose balls like they owed him money. And the beauty? He wasn't just winning it back, he was doing it cleanly, calmly, and often turning defense into attack in the blink of an eye. Now, let's talk passing. This man doesn't pass, he paints. Progressive passes? He was right up there with the big boys, only Van Dijk delivered more in red. He wasn't just safe, he was purposeful. Line-breaking balls, switches of play, crisp 1-2s. This was the Gravenberch Ajax fans remembered, and Bayern somehow forgot they had. And in duels, 63% success rate. Basically, if there was a 50-50, Gravenberch made it a 70-30. In his favor, he wasn't just involved, he was bossing midfield battles like he had a cheat code. Under Slot, the numbers didn't just improve, they exploded. Gravenberch wasn't just playing better, he was proving, statistically, that Liverpool had unearthed a monster in the middle. Tactics are great, stats, they're sexy. But let's not forget the one thing that turns a good player into a great one: belief. And no, not the TED Talk kind. We're talking real, day in, day out trust from the manager. And that's exactly what Arne Slot gave Ryan Gravenberch. Before Slot's arrival, Gravenberch looked like a guy trying to remember the Wi-Fi password mid-match. His body language screamed unsure, like he was afraid that one wrong touch would get him benched, or worse, memed on Twitter. But under Slot, that changed fast. The Dutch manager didn't just give him minutes, he gave him ownership. He told Ryan in not so many words, "You're not a square part, you're part of the plan." That shift alone was massive. Gravenberch began playing with swagger. His passes had more zip, his positioning sharper. He wasn't just reacting, he was controlling. In an interview, Gravenberch himself said, "The coach gives me confidence and sets me up. I just do my own thing. The things I did at Ajax, I do now." Translation: Slot basically told him, "Do you," and it worked. And that's the magic. Sometimes unlocking a player, it isn't about changing them, it's about reminding them who they are. Slot didn't rebuild Gravenberch, he reminded him that he was already built for greatness and just needed the right stage. The result? A player transformed, not just tactically, but mentally. A man playing like he knows he belongs. When Ryan Gravenberch started bossing midfield like a Dutch philosopher in Adidas boots, it didn't just benefit him. The entire Liverpool ecosystem leveled up. Because in football, when one piece of the puzzle clicks, everything starts to fit. Gravenberch wasn't just thriving, he was raising the game of everyone around him. Let's start with the defense. With Gravenberch patrolling the space in front of them, Liverpool's centre-backs could finally sleep at night. He was the shield they'd been dreaming of, intercepting passes, sniffing out danger, and buying precious seconds when the backline needed it most. Suddenly, Van Dijk didn't do three people's jobs, just his own. Bliss. Now, the attack. When Gravenberch won the ball, he didn't hoof it aimlessly. He transitioned, quickly, efficiently, beautifully. Whether it was feeding McAllister between the lines or spraying a pass wide to Salah, he helped turn defense into offense, like flipping a switch. The forwards, they loved it. It was like having a built-in launch pad at the halfway line. And let's not forget squad rotation. With Gravenberch performing at this level, Slot had more flexibility. He could rest key players without sacrificing control in midfield. Depth, it stopped being a problem, it became a weapon. In short, Gravenberch's rise didn't just change his story, it tilted Liverpool's trajectory. What started as a personal revival turned into a team-wide ripple effect, one that made the Reds more balanced, more dangerous, and dare we say, more Slot-like. If this tactical glow-up's got you hooked, hit subscribe. We've got plenty more brewing. Every great football story has a turning point. For Liverpool, this season, it wasn't a last-minute goal, a thunderous Salah screamer, or even a classic Anfield comeback. It was something more subtle, the quiet, consistent excellence of Ryan Gravenberch. With Slot's system humming and Gravenberch at its heart, Liverpool went from in transition to title contenders. This wasn't the chaotic, heavy metal football of the Klopp years. No, this was smooth jazz with a side of Dutch discipline, and Gravenberch was the sax solo. He controlled the rhythm of matches, dictated tempo, and brought a calm authority to the midfield that had been missing since the Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Henderson days. As the season unfolded, pundits started whispering what fans already knew. Gravenberch wasn't just playing well, he was essential. He wasn't just a midfielder anymore, he was the metronome, the connector, the guy who made everything click without needing the spotlight. The kind of player you only truly appreciate when he's not there, and thankfully, he rarely wasn't. By the time Liverpool lifted the Premier League trophy, it was clear Slot hadn't just stabilised a team in transition, he'd elevated it. And Gravenberch, he'd gone from promising prospect to vital cog in a title-winning machine. No flashy headlines, no over-the-top celebrations, just pure, consistent, intelligent football. From fringe to first name on the team sheet, this was Gravenberch's road to glory. So, what have we learned from Ryan Gravenberch's Liverpool story? First, talent alone isn't enough. You can be a Rolls-Royce of a midfielder, but if you're parked in the wrong garage, you're not going anywhere. Under Klopp, Gravenberch was misfiring, misunderstood, maybe even underused. But under Arne Slot, he became a machine with purpose, precise, powerful, and perfectly placed. Second, managers matter. Slot didn't reinvent Gravenberch, he just saw him, really saw him, recognized his strengths, gave him a role, and let him play without fear. That kind of man management, it's football's most underrated superpower. It's the difference between a struggling talent and a midfield general. And third, sometimes the biggest wins aren't headline-grabbing transfers or viral moments. Sometimes they're slow burns, like unlocking a player's potential, not with fireworks, but with belief, structure, and the right tactics. That's what Slot did, and Gravenberch, he answered with performances that made Liverpool tick. Now looking ahead, the sky's the limit. He's still young, still evolving, and under Slot, we might just be seeing the beginning of something special. Not a cameo, not a phase, but the rise of a long-term midfield leader. If you've enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, like Gravenberch, smashing through a high press. Subscribe for more tactical deep dives, and drop a comment below. Who's the next hidden gem Slot might unleash? Because one thing's for sure, if Slot's got a plan, you better believe someone's about to level up. And that's a wrap on how Arne Slot unlocked the beast in Ryan Gravenberch. If you enjoyed the journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a midfield masterclass. Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us who's the next player Slot might turn into gold. Until next time, stay sharp, stay tactical, and as always, you'll never scroll alone.